أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الذي ليس لأوليته ابتداء ولا لأزليته انقضاء وانحصرت الأوصاف عن كنه معرفته وردعت عظمته العقول والذي لا تواري عنه سماء ولا أرض أرضا ثم الصلاة والسلام والتحية والإكرام على سيد البطحاء سيد المرسلين والأنبياء أبي القاسم محمد المصطفى
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجه
وعلى الجوهرة القدسية البتول العذراء سيدة النساء فاطمة الزهراء وعلى بعلها أمير المؤمنين وبنيها الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجه
لا سيما على بقية الله وحجته الكبرى الذي بيمنه رزق الورى وبوجوده ثبتت الأرض والسماء ولولاه لصاحت الأرض بأهلها واللعنة الدائمة على أعدائهم أجمعين من حين عداوتهم إلى قيام يوم الدين. أما بعد، فقد قال الله تبارك وتعالى في كتابه الكريم: وتعز من تشاء وتذل من تشاء بيدك الخير إنك على كل شيء قدير. صلوات.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجه.
The concept of Izzat and Dhillat in Islam is a subject of fundamental importance in the life of every mu'min. And I would like to briefly shed some light on the concept of Izzat, the dignity, and Dhillat means humiliation. And then I would like to mention some of those factors which are instrumental in achieving the Izzat and dignity. And at the end, I would like to talk about the concept of individual dignity and collective dignity in Islam. Izzat is defined, literally speaking, if you pick up a dictionary of Arabic language, the word Izzat relates to tough and rigid soil, a face of earth which is too tough to penetrate. Even if you try to dig into it, it's so hard and tough that you cannot penetrate. That kind of soil is called, this soil is aziz, unpenetrable. And this is where the concept of Izzat, which I'm going to define in the Islamic sense of the word, was derived from that, because the life of a woman is supposed to be hard and unpenetrable. Because in Arabic, obviously, these words are taken because of some relevance between them. Now, here's how the scholars of akhlaq, when they talk about Izzat, they define the Izzat, Islamically speaking, like this, that هي صفة بها يجعل الإنسان نفسه في منازل الرفعة والاحترام من غير تكبر ويعرف بها قدر نفسه. It's through Izzat that a human being a human being puts himself into a position of respect and highness without takabbur and arrogance, and recognizes the status he has been given. We have been given a status by Allah. The Holy Qur'an is very clear. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلِلَّهِ الْعِزَّةُ وَلِرَسُولِهِ وَلِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ. So this ayat has hasr, has restricted the entire dignity in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Messenger and the believers. So first of all, no one has izzat and dignity other than Allah and His Messenger and the mu'mineen, the believers. And originally all the izzat belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whomsoever He awards the dignity gets honored, and whomsoever He did not provide the dignity is naturally not honored. Regardless of the fact whether people of this world honor someone or some group or some party or some nation or not, that's irrelevant from the Islamic perspective. And izzat is an amanat, an entrusted trust of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we are not allowed to compromise on our izzat. We can compromise if our belief system allows the compromise. We can compromise on those of the things which are our own property, something that I possess, something that belongs to me. In Islamic value system, izzat belongs to Allah. And Allah did not provide the license to any individual to make a compromise about his dignity. In the hadith of Imam Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam, he says that إِنَّ اللَّهَ فَوَّضَ إِلَى الْمُؤْمِنِ أُمُورَهُ كُلَّهَا. Allah has submitted all the affairs to a mu'min. So which means that we are free to do whatever we wish to do within the framework of Islamic halal. We are free to dress up however we wish to dress up within the framework of halal. We are free to eat whatever we wish to eat within the framework of halal. We are free to make all of our choices within the framework of Islamic Sharia. But when it comes to the dignity, وَلَمْ يُفَوِّضْ إِلَيْهِ أَنْ يُذِلَّ نَفْسَهُ. Imam Salih says that Allah did not submit to him this thing to insult himself. Izzat simply doesn't belong to us, so we don't have a right to insult ourselves. Humiliating ourselves is not an option in Islam. Because it's not, first of all, it's not ours to compromise. We can't make a deal on something that doesn't even belong to us to begin with. And if you look at the perspective of the hadith from Ahlul Bayt and the du'as, our urafat say that one of the best means of having the ma'rifat, shanaft, and depth recognition of the Prophet and Ahlul Bayt is to turn to their du'as and ziyarat, because these are where you find that some of the best ma'arif of Islam are found. Du'as are great because these are the talk of the Ahlul Bayt towards Allah, and Allah is the audience. And the content of a talk is low because of two reasons, two possible reasons. A, if the speaker doesn't have the knowledge, the skills, the understanding, so he will talk according to his level of knowledge, which will bring down the level of the talk. and B, the audience is not of the level to understand and grasp and digest those knowledges. So in the case of the du'as of Ahlul Bayt, none of those two are applicable, because Prophet and Ahlul Bayt are the mazhar and reflection of all the names of Allah without exception, and they reflect all the attributes of Allah, sifatul jalali wal jamal, the attributes of majesty and beauty of Allah without exception. So there is no naqs, there is no shortfall when it comes to the Prophet and Ahlul Bayt. When it comes to Allah, obviously He's absolute. So there is no reason why the du'as of Ahlul Bayt would be low in their content. There's no rational reason behind it. And Imam Khomeini Ridwanullah alayhi used to call these du'as as Qur'anun Syed. It's the ascending Qur'an. The Qur'an that me and you have in our hands is called Qur'anun Nazil. The Qur'an, the descending Qur'an that descended down. But this du'as of Prophet and Ahlul Bayt are the ones which ascended towards the heaven. It's not less in its contents and the ma'arif than the Holy Qur'an. It's comparable to that. Obviously, Qur'an is the most superior because it's the word of Allah and is a miracle. So coming back to the point, when you look at the dua of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salatu wassalam, in the dua of Arafah, he says, Ya man khassa nafsahu bis-sumuwi wal-rif'a. Oh, you who has specified himself with highness and elevation, and وَأَوْلِيَاؤُهُ بِعِزِّهِ يَعْتَزُّونَ, and his beloved servants become honored because of his dignity. So Allah is so honored, whomsoever is a beloved servant of Allah will get honored because of the honor of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There is a fine line between certain Islamic concepts, and it requires a level of knowledge and understanding to draw that fine line. For example, there may be people in the society who can confuse between izzat, dignity, and arrogance, takabbur. And there's an incident in the history, it's recorded about Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam. A person showed up and said to the Imam, Fika azama. Now you have azamat. What he's trying to say is that you are showing greatness based on your arrogance. And Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam replies back to him, Bal fiyya izzatan. Instead, in me is dignity. So this is where Imam alayhi salam recites this ayat of Holy Qur'an, وَلِلَّهِ الْعِزَّةُ وَلِرَسُولِهِ وَلِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ, and izzat is only for Allah and His Messenger and the believers. So there is a fine line between izzat and arrogance, dignity and arrogance. It depends on the niyyat of the person. And because we don't know the niyyat and intention, we are not supposed to judge. Just like there's a fine line between israf and infaq, just like there's a fine line between cowardice and ihtiyat. Someone can perceive that this person is coward, that's why he's not doing. The difference between cowardice and ihtiyat means a precautionary behavior. It's that if you have cowardice, you will ignore your divine faridah and duty. And if you have ihtiyat in your personality, your divine duty and faridah dictates you to exercise caution. So that's the fine line. So all those concepts which have, seems to be confusing for some people have obviously the differences which needs to be understood properly. So izzat should not be confused with arrogance, and depends on the niyat of the person. Our izzat is derived because we humble ourselves in front of Allah, and we are particular about performing our duty towards Allah at every cost. This is how we derive the izzat from. So if a person is not humble in front of Allah, he does not focus on doing his faridah and duty towards Allah, there is no way he can be classified as mu'azzaz and aziz and honorable person in the dictionary of Islam. And it's a temporary thing that some people are, they think they can go to the taghuts, they can go to the zalimeen, they can have relations with the kuffar, and because of those relations they can become honorable. First of all, it's not called honor. Second of all, it is temporary. So Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, when he comes into the Khilafat on the fourth place, he says that Al-Azizu indi zalil hatta akhudh al-haqqa minhu. That means every honorable person is humiliated in my eyes until I take away the right from him. That means the right that he has usurped, which belongs to someone else, and he has wrongfully usurped the right and fakely claiming to be honorable, he's going to take that back. And this is exactly what he did. And this is one of the reasons why he was being opposed so much. So dignity is because of our faridah towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There are 10 factors that our scholars of akhlaq have mentioned in their books, and I have written down, I have made available here all those 10 factors as bullet points for you, because obviously it's a very elaborate discussion to go into the details of those things, but I would like to quickly mention those 10 points, which are the factors that ensure dignity in the life of a human being. The first thing is qanaat. Qanaat means being content. Being content on whatever less Allah has given you, whatever He has destined for you. That's the best thing in our favor, if we understood. And you never find in any hadith or any dua that the Prophet and Ahlul Bayt were asking for more and more material wealth. Had they asked that from Allah, Allah would have definitely given them immediately without delay. But they never asked. Instead, the opposite is what you find. Shaykh Tusi rahmatullah alayhi in Kitab al-Tahdhib, which is one of our 4 mother books of hadith, he mentioned this riwayatun sahiha, an authentic narration, where that Prophet had prayed to Allah, Allahumma arzuq Muhammadan wa ala Muhammadin sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa man ahabba Muhammadan wa ala Muhammadin sallallahu alayhi wa alihi al-ifafa wal-kafaf. Ifaf means chastity of character. And kafaf means as much money as it suffices for your needs. So Prophet prayed to Allah, Shaykh Tusi narrates authentically. Obviously it's a done deal, it's already accepted by Allah. That's how it is happening, that's how it will happen till the Day of Judgment. And no power can alter the dua of the Prophet. So he already prayed and it's done. O my Lord, award Muhammad and his progeny and those who love Muhammad and his progeny sallallahu alaihi wasallam the chastity, and kafaf means as much money as it suffices them. That means nothing more than that. And then Prophet prayed to Allah, وَارْزُقْ مَنْ أَبْغَضَ مُحَمَّدًا وَآلَ مُحَمَّدٍ صلى الله عليه وآله كثرة المال والولد. And give those who hate Muhammad and Al Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam abundance of wealth and children. So we learn in the light of this great hadith, although every hadith is equally great, that the enemies of Islam will continue to be in majority and will continue to have abundance of wealth, which is actually a la'nat and curse of Allah on some people. And the success of the believers simply does not depend on abundance of money, how some people perceive, or abundance in numbers, majority. Allah is going to prove that كم من فئة قليلة غلبت فئة كثيرة بإذن الله. Allah is going to prove to the humanity, when Imam Sahib Zaman alayhi salam comes, it will be a known fact for everyone. And for those who have ma'rifat, it's a known fact even today. And there are so many small groups who overwhelmed large groups with the permission of Allah. So really, majority is not the key player. That we need to understand. So qanaat is something very important. Abu Hashim al-Ja'fari, one of the greatest companions of Imam Ali al-Naqi al-Hadi alayhi salam, narrated so many narrations from him. Jalil al-Qadr and Ilm al-Rijal, is thiqah, authentic. So Abu Hashim al-Ja'fari rahmatullahi alayhi, he comes to Imam Naqi alayhi salam. He was a very poor guy. All the followers of Ahlul Bayt throughout the history were poor. All of them. Including Sayyidah Khadija salamullahi alayha. She was poor too, She made a lot of money, but she gave away all the money to the Prophet for the sake of Islam. Her personal life remained like a simplistic lifestyle. So nothing changed in her lifestyle, right? So the principle is not broken. So, and we have narrations to support this thing as well. That throughout the history, the followers had been poor in their personal lifestyle. So there's nothing wrong to make billions and billions of money from halal. There's no restriction in the Holy Qur'an or any hadith from making more and more money from halal. There's no restriction on that. But all the restrictions are on spending the money. So, coming to the point of what I was saying, Abu Hashim al-Ja'fari is a great companion, very poor, extremely poor, goes hungry for days, probably. Now he's so hungry, he shows up in front of Imam al-Naqi alayhi salam. Before he could even speak, Imam alayhi salam started the talk, initiated the talk, and said, which of the blessings of Allah that He has given you are you able to thank? He has given you Iman. Now, this is such a great eye-opener for everybody. He has given you Iman. He made made you haram on the hellfire. The hellfire cannot burn a person who has Iman, right? He dies, he breathes his last breath on the Iman, on the walayat of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. So then Imam alayhi salam said to Abu Hashim, he gave you afiyat. And because of that, he made you do ita'at and obedience of Allah. When Prophet was asked that if I were alive, somebody asked the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, if I were alive in the Laylatul Qadr, Shab-e Qadr, in the night of the Qadr, what dua shall I ask from Allah? If I happen to be alive. And Prophet said one word, afiyat. So this is, in a nutshell, it is the summary of our success. We need to seek afiyat from Allah, which means the power. Afiyat is that blessing of Allah, that nur of Allah in your soul that empowers you to obey Allah at every intersection of your life and give preference to His obedience over His disobedience. So Imam Nabi alayhi salam said, Allah gave you afiyat, and so He made you obedient. And Allah gave you qana'at, contentment. And this is how He protected your dignity, abru. So if we go and stretch our hands in front of the people, beg, ask anyone other than Allah for that, this is insult of a mu'min. So the first thing that brings about the izzat, moving short and faster, is qana'at. And the second thing, for those of you who want to write down these 10 factors in Islam that brings izzat for an individual. Ta'at and obedience of Allah. The third is not seeking your hajat from the people. So, let me tell you a story about that. It's a very, very interesting story. And this is from the life history of Imam As-Sajjad alayhi salatu wassalam. So it's narrated that this is narrated that in the time of Imam As-Sajjad alayhi salam, Abdul Malik ibn Marwan was visiting the Kaaba. Imam As-Sajjad alayhi salam was also present there at the Holy Kaaba, and Abdul Malik was busy in the tawaf, and he saw Imam As-Sajjad not paying attention to him, ignoring him. So this itself is ibadat in Islam, to ignore the taghut. And Abdul Malik said to the Imam, Lastu qatila abik, I'm not the killer of your father. So why are you ignoring me? And Imam As-Sajjad alayhi salam said, Inna qatila abi afsada bima fa'alahu dunyahu alayh. The killer of my father, what he did is that he destroyed the dunya of my father upon him. In other words, and afsada abi bidhalika akhiratahu, and my dad destroyed his akhirat upon him. In aradta an takuna kahuwa fakun. You want to be like him? Be. That means in our language, who cares, right? You want to follow his footsteps? Go ahead. He said, Kalla, no, I don't want to do that. He said, but Sir Ayleya litanala min dunyana, why don't you come over, pay a visit to us, at least to get some dunya from us. Have you a lot of dunya? The narration says when Imam Sajjad heard that remark, فَجَلَسَ عَلِيُّ ibn al-Husayn alayhi salam, Imam Sajjad sat down, بَسَطَ رِدَاءَهُ, he spread his abba on the ground and prayed to Allah, Allahumma arihi hurmata awliyaika indak. Oh my Lord, show him the dignity of your beloved servants in your eyes. إِذَا رِدَاؤُهُ مَمْلُوٌ دُرَرًا يَكَادُ ضِيَاؤُهَا يَخْطِفُ الْأَبْصَارِ. As soon as Imam Sajjad said that, his abba was full of pearls, glittering and shining, and so blinding the eyes, so much glittering pearls. So Abdul Malik was shocked to see that scene. And this is where Imam Sajjad alayhi salam said, Man kanat مَنْ يَكُونُ هَذَا حُرْمَتُهُ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ, whomsoever's dignity is like this in the eyes of Allah. Does he stand in need of your dunya? And then Imam said to Allah, Allahumma khudha fala hajatani ilayha. Oh my Lord, take it away, because I don't need it. So that's the shan of a mu'min. If Ahlul Bayt wanted to get the dunya, they would have got it better than anyone else, but they never wanted. And this is what secures izzat for us as the followers of Ahlul Bayt, that we should be, not having the, hirs and tama and greed towards dunya. The fourth factor that brings about izzat and dignity is justice towards the people, fair and just behavior towards the people. And the fifth factor that brings about izzat and dignity in Islam is accepting the haqq. There are some people who are stubborn. As soon as you tell them the haqq, they actually some people become your enemies, because you told them haqq. You told them the truth. They were not ready to accept and digest the truth, right? And that's why I always say to brothers that we need to respect the people in the society, in the West, where there's so many nice people in the society, honestly speaking. And so many of the people will convert into the Islam of Ahlul Bayt when they see Imam Sahibul Zaman salam appearing and Prophet Isa salam praying behind Imam Mahdi salam. So many will become followers of Islam of Ahlul Bayt. So actually we as a community failed to represent the Islam properly, because our akhlaq and morals, primarily our akhlaq was not up to the mark. Prophet was living in neighborhoods and people were converting into Islam. We are living in neighborhoods and nobody bothers about Islam, right? So the difference is our morals. Imam Khomeini, when he was in Paris, he sent gifts at Christmas to his Christian neighbors. How many of our community members, you do a survey, how many people send gifts to their Christian neighbors on Christmas? Before inviting anybody towards Islam, the first thing we need to do is prove our morals. For 40 years, 40, Allah did not ask His messenger to start the propagation. He was tested by Allah towards his akhlaq, sidqul hadith wa ada'ul amana, truthfulness in the talk and taking care of the entrusted trusts. That's what the kuffar and mushrikeen used to call him, Sadiq and Ameen. So this is about how we need to interact. So coming back to the point is that it's our job to adapt ourselves towards haqq, accommodating nature. Whenever haqq is told, whomsoever, whenever, wherever tells you the haqq and righteousness and the truth, are you going to buy it? If yes, then and only then you are a Muslim. Because when Imam Ali defines Islam, he did person who is born to such and such parents. Islam defines Islam, لَأَنْسِبَنَّ الْإِسْلَامَ نِسْبَةً, I'm going to define Islam in a way that no one had defined Islam before me in a better way. No one will be able to define Islam after me in a better way, except if he defines in the same way that I do. And then he said, Al-Islam huwa al-taslim, wal-taslim huwa al-tasdiq, wal-tasdiq huwa al-yaqeen, wal-yaqeen huwa al-ada, wal-ada huwa al-amal. إِنَّ الْمُؤْمِنَ أَخَذَ دِينَهُ عَنْ رَبِّهِ وَلَمْ يَأْخُذْهُ عَنْ رَأْيِهِ. Islam is submission, taslim. Submission to haqq, submission to the hukum of Allah. How many people, you tell them the haqq and they're ready to accept it? It's not about which family we were born. Salman Farsi was never born in a Muslim family. That family was Zoroastrians, worshipping fire. But he can reach a level of Salman Minna Ahlul Bayt because of his submission towards the haqq. This gives you the honor. Why Salman al-Farsi was so honorable and mu'azzaz in the eyes of the Prophet and Ahlul Bayt, that they had special closed sessions for Salman only. Once one of the famous companions entered into the session where Prophet was available, Imam Ali was available, Salman Farsi was there, and Prophet became silent. stopped talking about what he was talking earlier. As soon as this companion stepped in, Prophet became silent. He said, Ya Rasulullah, tell us something about what you were talking to Salman. And Prophet replied, honey is harmful for newborn babies. And he didn't say a word. Right? So Ayatollah Uzma Qadi Tabatabai Rahmatullah Alayh, it's famous when he used to deliver his lesson in Najaf. All of a sudden, because obviously he's one of the greatest Urafa of all times, we are proud. Tashayyu is proud of having a personality like him. So all of a sudden somebody shows up. These are those people who don't have hijabat, right? So they can see the souls of the people. As soon as a person who is non-mahram to the subject shows up into his lesson, he used to switch the subject. He started to talk about the fadilat of ziyarat of Ashura all of a sudden. Because you talk according to the mental level of the people, that's justice. Unless we elevate ourselves to a higher level, and then we'll find the blessing of Allah arriving our way. So the sixth factor that brings the izzat in Islam, hifdhul lisan, controlling your tongue. A lot of people become humiliated in the eyes of Allah because they have uncontrolled talk. Uncontrolled talk. So mu'min is not like this. The standard, the rule of the thumb for a regular mu'min in Islam is stay silent. Don't speak. Islam says to a regular mu'min, don't speak until you must. And when you have to speak, speak nothing but haqq. This is the policy of Islam towards a regular mu'min. When it comes to the awliya Allah, the beloved servants of Allah, the policy is diametrically opposite. Allah's ruling for the awliya Allah, beloved servants of Allah, is speak up. Don't stay silent. Because if you don't speak, who else has the right to speak? That's the policy of Islam towards the awliya Allah, the beloved servants of Allah. So we need to have a controlled talk. Largest magnitude of people landing in the hellfire are because of two reasons: their tongue and their private parts. The seventh reason is forgiving the people. Forgiving the people brings izzat and dignity for you. And the eighth reason is giving away, means sadaqat and charities, and your giving pattern to the people. And the ninth factor is qadhmul ghayz, controlling your anger. That brings dignity for an individual. And the 10th and the last thing that scholars of akhlaq have mentioned for izzat is sabr, as-sabru ala al-musiba. Whoever has the patience to tolerate the hardships, calamities, tests from Allah, he'll get honored. Well, all of them are tested. Some people say, why did Allah make Prophet and Ahlul Bayt so high? Isn't that, God forbid, unfair favoritism taking place from Allah for them? Why didn't He award those levels for one of us? Well, that's not a right objection, because first of all, they are also tested. There's not unfair favoritism from Allah. Allah is adil and just. When you go for the ziyarat of Hazrat Fatima alayhi salam, may Allah give all of us the tawfiq to go. The sentence number one of the ziyarat of Hazrat Fatima alayhi salam is Ya Mumtahana, O the tested one. امتحنك الله الذي خلقك قبل أن يخلقك فوجدك لما امتحنك صابرة. Allah tested you before Allah created you, and Allah found you to be patient and sabira about what he tested you. So they were also tested. It's not right for a person to say it's an unfair favoritism for Ahlul Bayt. That's ignorance. They were also tested. They were tested by tests which are even actually, tougher than anyone else's tests. And if a person, on the contrary, has tama and hirs, greed towards this world, hirs towards the shahawat and desires and lusts of this world, he gets humiliated. If a person performs ihanat, insults the people, he gets humiliated, becomes zaleel and humiliated in the eyes of Allah. And if a person performs zulm, an oppression, he gets humiliated in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is what we are supposed to avoid at all costs, to maintain our izzat and dignity. Now, mu'min is considered in the hadith as more tough than the mountains. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam says, Al-mu'minu a'azzu min al-jabal. Remember the meaning that I told you in the beginning of my speech? The literal meaning of the word izzat, tough and rigid soil, which is unpenetrable. You can't go in it. So mu'min is tougher and harder than the mountain. And then Imam Sadiq gives the dalil, the evidence why a mu'min is harder than a mountain. Imam says, فَإِنَّ الْجَبَلْ يُسْتَقَلُّ مِنْهُ الْمَعَادِنِ. Because from a mountain, minerals can be extracted out. وَإِنَّ الْمُؤْمِنَ لَا يُسْتَقَلُّ مِنْ دِينِهِ شَيْءٍ. Whereas a mu'min, nothing can be taken out from his faith. So my teacher, Ayatollah Jawadi Amri Hafidhahullah, was saying in his tafsir that Iman is defined as Ja'lul Mu'taqad fil Amn, placing your belief in a secure place. That means no matter what happens out there in the society, if I lose my job, if my son gets sick, if somebody dear to me passes away, no matter what happens to me, as far as my iman goes, that is safe and secure. I will not be derailed from my faith. Outside events have zero impact on my faith. If that's the way your faith is, that the outer world has zero impact on your soul, on your faith, then you can call yourself to be a mu'min. This much strong. وَإِنَّ الْمُؤْمِنَ لَا يُسْتَقَلُّ مِنْ دِينِهِ شَيْءٍ. Nothing can be taken from the religion of a mu'min. So obviously he's stronger than a mountain. It was not easy for Imam Khomeini to start this Islamic movement. If you look at the times where so many oppositions from not only from the outside but also from the inside, in that kind of situation. So you see, when General Bakrawan, head of Sawak, shows up and meets the Imam, and he was in his isolation or home arrest, and he said to Imam that Shah is a Shia and his actions are Islamic, which I'm paraphrasing in my words, and it doesn't make any sense to launch a movement, Islamic movement against him who is a Shia and his actions are Islamic. And besides, you are Naib of Imam alayhi salam, and you are a Muqaddas and holy person. Politics, whereas politics is najis, it simply doesn't suit you. It doesn't suit your personality to engage in politics and siyasat. Look at the response of Imam. Ridwanullahi alayhi. When you get izzat in the eyes of Allah, it's not easy. You have to earn the izzat. There is no given thing like this. When Ahlul Bayt were tested, who are we? We have to go through the test and prove our eligibility in the eyes of Allah according to the yardstick of justice of God. Justice of God will judge us whether we fulfill the merit or not. There is no taqaddus which is given. There is no sanctity and holiness for anybody as a given value. Why in the world should you kiss my hand or anybody's hand? Why? If a person is not fulfilling his obligations, not doing the desired role, Prophet ﷺ is being insulted. A person is not ready to stand in front of the insult and say no to the insult. What sort of taqaddus and holiness this person enjoy, and you are not ready to protect the biggest holy personality of the history of humankind, from whom we derive the entire holiness. And we have hadith where Imam Sadiq alayhi salam has said, لا تقبل يد إلا يد أريد بها رسول الله. No hand can be kissed except the hand with which you intend Rasulullah. So even those of the hands of those of the scholars that we kiss precisely because they are defending the dignity of Rasulullah. We are doing it with the niyat that we are actually honoring Rasulullah, because this alim stands for the policies and sunnat of Rasulullah. So there is no given holiness for anybody, taken as granted. It's nothing like that. So Imam Khomeini Ridwanullah replies back that when you say that Shah is a Shia and is a Muslim, and you call me Marji Taqleed, so it's the job of Shah to follow me instead of advising me to follow Shah. That's first of all. Second of all, you said siyasat is something najis, politics is unclean and najis. Is it najis only for me and the inqilabiyun and the revolutionaries, or it is najis for everyone? If it's najis for everyone, then why does Shah engage in politics? Apparently he seems to be a very nafis person, right? You know, wearing nice chic clothes and stuff. So why does he engage in politics if it's najis? And then Imam said, if a bad guy, drops garbage in your house, you don't leave the house, you throw the garbage out. And listen, General Bakrawan, siyasat has been made najis by people like you. When our revolution will come into existence, we will clean the house and do the siyasat of the prophets of Allah, alayhi salatu wasalam. And siyasat is the sunnat of the prophets of God. When he was in Nofl al-Chateau, one of the envoys of a Western country came to see Imam Khomeini in Paris and asked him, how would be which form of government are you pursuing to establish in Iran? And he replied back, did your government ask us before forming your government what sort of government you want to establish in your country? Did you ask us? Why are we supposed to tell you? Look at the dignified way of dealing. That's the way we are supposed to learn. We don't believe in violence. We don't believe in aggression. We are the most peaceful people. We are the biggest victims of violence and terrorism and oppressions and occupations. We need to be proud of who we are and understand and realize our pure Islamic identity instead of being apologetic. So he said, did your country ask us before establishing your form of government? Why are we obliged to tell you? We are going to establish a government based on Islam with the support of the people. And then this guy, this envoy of a Western country, said, you are a Shia scholar, and the majority of the people in the Islamic world are Sunnis, so they are not going to accept you. So there will be division between Shias and Sunnis. And Imam replied that tafriqa, divisions, have been sponsored by the colonialist powers. Whenever Islamic government will happen, the tafriqa and division between Shia and Sunni will fade away, and Islam will surface up. Our Islamic revolution will bring about unity in the Islamic Ummah. This is how we are supposed to talk. It's really an insult when you look in the news, canine dogs sitting in air conditioners, and mothers in the intensive care unit in the hospitals, and some of those hospitals are doing like this on the head of their sons because there is no electricity in the intensive care unit. My question to you, how do you define insult? If that's not insult, what else is insult? Imam Ridwanullah used to say, we are going to cut the hands of those powers who may try to penetrate into our Islamic land. This is called Izzat. This is called Izzat and dignity. Not that some people are just rushing to, just let me know where am I supposed to sign kind of policy. Buttering up the Zalimeen and criminals, right? Going places, getting themselves photographed with some of the criminals and hanging those photographs in their living rooms to feel proud in front of their grandchildren. Imam Ridwanullah used to say, we are not supposed to feel proud over, I have visited Paris, and I have visited London, and I have visited Berlin, and so forth, capitals of various Western governments. Our people, our youth need to be feeling proud. I have visited Karbala. I have visited Najaf. I have visited Mashhad. This is what we are supposed to feel proud. We have our own value system. So, Imam Hussein alayhi salam has set the standard. Mautun fi izz khairun min hayatin fi dhul. Death in dignity is better than life in humiliation. Some people, they ask for it. Because when they don't realize the softer way, in the noble way, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala a time arrives where Allah starts punishing, whether an individual or a group of people. Because Izzat is not only individual, it's collective as well. Individually speaking, you are honorable people, maybe I have some honor, right? Individually, that's understandable. But collectively, we, the Muslims, I'm sorry to say, we are the most insulted people on the planet. You turn on the radio and look at the news and the websites, and you find a bunch of Muslims are maimed and jailed and killed and tortured and sent out of their houses. There was an unknown graveyard discovered in Poland, and the Polish parliament was about to pass a bill to install crosses on that unknown graveyard. And the Zionists protested from all over the world. And you guys don't have the right to install crosses on those unknown graves, because maybe they were protesting on a maybe. Maybe there were some of us who were killed in the Holocaust, And by installing the crosses, you're going to decrease the sympathy of the world towards us. So Izzat, as a collective dignity for the community and a group of people or a nation, comes when a nation follows its. Any nation that does not obey its leader does not deserve to be honored. Because when you follow the leader, that's how you get united. That's how you learn your political and social obligations. And it's the political and social obligations that elevate a community collectively. Individual obligations never ever elevate you collectively. You may be a very pious person in your individual life. It has nothing to do with our collective izzat. Prophet Musa was ma'soom, but Bani Israel did not fulfill their collective duty towards the Messenger of Allah. So even Prophet Musa suffered. And he had to leave his hometown and stay outside for approximately 8 years, sufferings after sufferings after sufferings. Although he was ma'soom, he has no fault. That's the nature of political and social negligences towards the political and social duties. Everyone suffers. Even the innocent suffer. What's the fault of those babies who are dying in Syria? Obviously no fault, right? But there's a negligence taking place towards the political obligations. That's the nature of the thing. So it all comes from the leadership. Those of the people who do not follow the leader, they don't deserve to be collectively honored. This is what Imam Ridwanullah used to say, Pushtiwane Walayat Faqih Washita Asibi Bei Mamlikat Nanasat. Syed Mutahari Rahmatullah said that the views of Imam will be understood after 100 years from now. And he said the truth. So many people did not value the views of the Imam. The same views which has robbed the Zionists of their comfortable sleeps. But unfortunately, some people in our communities are not willing to open up their eyes. Well, if somebody's sleeping, you can always wake him up, right? But if somebody's pretending to sleep, no matter how much I scream next to his head, he's not going to open the eyes because he doesn't want to, right? So no one can do anything towards somebody who doesn't want to wake up. For those who are serious, the evidences are abundant. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد اللهم انصر الإسلام والمسلمين واخذل الكفار والمنافقين اللهم انصر من نصر الدين واخذل من خذل المسلمين اللهم انصر واحفظ وأيد علماءنا الربانيين ومراجعنا الربانيين لا سيما الولي الفقيه قائد المسلمين اللهم انصر جيوش المسلمين وعساكر الموحدين اللهم فك عن الأسراء المسلمين اللهم وفقنا لما تحب وترضى وعجل في فرج مولانا صاحب الزمان واجعلنا من أنصاره وأشياعه وأتباعه وأعوانه بجاه محمد وآله الطاهرين. Let's recite the Ayat al-Karima 5 times for our honorable scholar Sheikh Zaki and all the rest of the mu'mineen who are in the prisons, those mu'mineen who are in the prisons in Bahrain, and those mu'mineen who are in the prisons of Hijaz, Ayatollah Nimr, Ali Nimr, those who are in the prisons of Pakistan, for all those mu'mineen and mustadafeen, let's recite the Ayat al-Karima 5 times all together. A'udhu billahi minash